Okay. You talked a little bit about the differences across the jurisdictions and across the desert that you've been involved with over the years. What's one thing that stands out to you about your involvement in remote education? Has it been that difference across the desert, or is there something else that stands out as being really important?
The education, coming across the desert from the west, the issues and problems involved with education, I think, are very similar. Mm. That's what I've learned, and my biggest concern in all this time is the communication between the two groups of people, between white people and the Aboriginal people, and the understanding of the communication between us. And I think there's a big issue that needs to be looked at.
How did you deal with it?
I'm still dealing with it today.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that Richard Trudgeon wrote about it in his book White Warriors Lie Down and Die. And it's the comprehension, the conceptualisation and the communication. We live in our world and Aboriginal people live in their world, and we haven't actually worked out how to join together yet. And I don't know but we think we're being understood. Many times I thought, now I don't. I stand back from I'm thinking, does the person I'm talking to really understand what I'm trying to say? And that's taken me a lot of years to get to that point. Before, I would say something, and with my naivety, I was thinking, they've understood what I've said, and they haven't understood a word. Or they've understood a very small amount. Now what I have learned is, especially with the educational factor, you get these young people coming into school, into a foreign language, and they do know a little wee bit, and intellectually they are so good. They take that little bit of knowledge that they've got, and they have to figure out, what's this white person trying to tell me? What am I meant to do? And they actually do succeed to a huge degree, but they get no recognition for it. Yeah, and I think that's sad.
Yeah.
That is very sad.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're guessing. They spend their lives guessing. Like, I had to teach, one of my teachers had a bereavement in the family, and I took his class for 2 weeks. And especially in numeracy, it was, you would ask them a question and all these numbers would come flying at you, and it was all guess. And I had to take the group right back and say, right, we're not guessing. If you don't know, don't say anything. Because, and they've learned that they need to, because they only understand a little bit, they're having a guess. And I mean, that to me was an eye-opener. Yeah. It really was. These people, they've learned to guess. They're learning that they've.
And it's exactly that example that's come up in various research papers about communication in Aboriginal classrooms. It's that classic 9, 7, 24, 3, 9. Random.
Random.
I just know one of these will please you.
Yeah, right,
I don't
exactly.
know why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
But if we keep doing it, eventually you go, well done.
And you can't blame them.
No.
You can't blame them for it.
No.
Because that's what they've learned.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's sad in some respects, but you know, and we've got to review it and look at it, because that's happened time and time again. And of course, when they get to the older, once they've got to, and this is what I think the environment of the island the White Island in these remote communities, being the school, by the time they get to their middle years of schooling, they start to rationalise. They can, when they're young, they're just being in their own little worlds. But when they're 10 to 14, they're rationalising. And they've been there. And they're going, well, what am I doing here? I don't really understand what's going on. I'm not really enjoying this very much. Why do I bother coming? Perhaps I'm not going to bother coming. Can you blame them?
No, you probably can't. I want you to think a little bit about that island that you just talked about there. And the school is an island, an institutional island, in a sea of something that's completely different. Given what you've just said, and assuming that that's correct, how do you manage that then? What do you try to manage that, or you just take that as a given, or is there a way that you try to sort of build a bridge or expand the island?
Well, build the bridge. Build the bridge, I think, is where it's got to go. But I don't think the bridge has ever been built. The system that we've. Well, I come from a development perspective from my academia, and coming into Central Australia, what amazed me right from the start was in the development of education, it's been a top-down approach. Whereas if you look at AusAid, New Zealand Aid, those sort of organisations, they go off overseas and do great jobs working with people. And what I've seen in Central Australia is the fact is that we've come into Central Australia and said this is how it's going to be, without working with the people. And I really honestly believe that we need to seriously look at starting again and working with the people in a participatory process about how education should be working for their young people. And that's working with the old people again. And I don't think that's done. I don't think it's been done. And I think that's a really serious issue that needs to be addressed. And we need to build the bridge. The gap's there. But we've got nothing that's trying to get across the gap.